Hey everybody, it's Sunday morning and I decided I'd come out and take a little stroll around the yard, see what's going on. I know yesterday we had pretty much peak flower. All the hostas are starting to bloom and we're getting about as much as we're going to get. I think the tiger lilies still have yet to go and probably a few other oddballs here and there, but we will see them as they start to open. Looks like we're probably going to be joined by Squeaker again today. Bootsy's out here somewhere, so we'll probably see him before the trip is over. And I just let Princess inside when I came out, so we're not going to see her. So the Coneflowers, or Echinacea, if you prefer, is starting to go. That's all these purple coneflowers you can see. We got some new coneflowers yesterday. Some of them have already gone in the ground, and some of them are still waiting. So we'll have a look at those. I'm excited because we're finally getting some variety of color rather than all these purple ones. I do enjoy the purple coneflowers, but they come in all sorts of flavors now, and mixing it up a little is always good. So the phlox are in there looking good. And this is the first tiger lily that I've actually seen blooming so far. It's not the most spectacular of them, but that is an idea at least of what the tiger lilies are going to look like when they start blooming. Can't really get up there and get you a better look at that, but maybe we'll see some other ones blooming as we make our way around the yard. Somewhere back in here is a white coneflower. You can see some more phlox. And now you can see that the hostas are starting to go. So we're getting all these purple flower spikes. And I had said something to my wife the other day. I was walking around the yard with her, and of course we know where all the little ferns are tucked into little nooks and crannies here and there, and little odd plants that you wouldn't ordinarily see. And I kind of pointed out, if I was to go around and look at everything and, you know, show you this little fern we've got tucked behind that, and these little painted ferns that are over here, etc., etc., these would be long yard tours indeed. And that's not even covering the parts of the yard we don't really do anything in. We could basically do the equivalent of taking a stroll through the woods. So those are some new coneflowers. We're not sure whether they're going to stay really squat and compact like that, or if that is a result of the way they were forced in the greenhouse or whatever. Whenever you buy plants at a nursery and they're flowering, they've been forced to flower, and they're probably flowering a little earlier than they normally would because they want them ready for market prior to when you're going to see them. There's no sense in selling you the flowers that are blooming after they're done, so they actually usually force them a little bit early. So we'll see what happens with them over the next year or two as they grow in. And I'm actually looking now, we'd had some deer damage up in this corner, and I'm now seeing got a fair amount in there. And if you see all these little flower spikes that just go up and sort of unceremoniously end, that's deer damage. That's the deer coming up here and nipping the tops of these flower spikes off. And this is the first year we've ever really had deer in the yard at all. And then to have them, you know, pretty much right here at the house is very unusual. I think they're coming in at this end of the yard, and they're coming up and they're making their way through, and they're just coming down this line almost like it's the buffet at the Golden Corral. So lots of hosta. Of course, that means in another couple of weeks it's endless deadheading, getting out here cutting all these down. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. A lot of times it'll depend on where they are. For example, all these dead daylilies, we'll deadhead all them because you see them right as you walk in the gate. But stuff that's sort of out of sight, out of mind, we don't pay too much attention to. The planter's still looking good. Oh, we didn't look at the newest edition. This is our other coneflower that we got. Has not gone in the ground yet, but that pretty yellow color is going to be awesome. All right. Again, all of these are the tiger lilies that have not yet bloomed. All these real tall, spiky things with these sort of downward facing. That's the tiger lily. It's one of my wife's planters. She normally does lots of planters, but this year we were extremely limited on getting out to garden centers and stuff like that for fairly obvious reasons. Rudbeckia, black-eyed Susans, that's the Maryland state flower. More Hosta, more black-eyed Susans. Got our balloon flower over here. This is actually the first year that I know of that this hydrangea has ever actually bloomed, and it's got a really pretty flower on it. So we're kind of excited about that. This is sort of the year of the hydrangea for us. We got the oak leaf hydrangea, and my wife has actually been dividing up our hydrangeas and putting them in various parts of the yard. So we sort of have several new hydrangeas this year, even though they're technically not new. These are the balloon flowers. These are one of my wife's favorites. And you can see why they're called balloon flowers. That's what they look like before they open, and then they just pop open and look like that. So moving on, looking at the daylilies, we've already seen a lot of these daylilies. This tiger lily here, this is going to be opening up in another day or two. You can even see the color starting to fill in on that one. Already had a good look at all these daylilies. That hydrangea is not wilting because it's in need of water or anything. Wilting is the way they preserve their water when it gets hot and the direct sun is shining on them. Very common to see hydrangeas wilting like that. As soon as it's in the shade, it'll stand right back up and it'll be fine. Although we could use some rain. I'm not going to argue with that. More daylilies. These are really pretty. These are your standard roadside orange, but they're double heads. And we have these in one other spot in the yard. I always forget to point them out because they're like in a really odd spot. We didn't plant them, they just came here. So, like those. Excuse me. Once again, I don't really think we're going to go down the driveway. Well, we can go down the driveway a little bit since we got some hostas and stuff blooming down here. But other than just having a walk around to see what the whole yard looks like, there's not really much to look at down there. So you can see hosta, hosta, hosta. Got fern lining the driveway, and then basically just evergreens and whatnot. Got a big patch of hosta in here, and we've got some random miscellaneous stuff. We got some columbine and some different hostas down there. We got some burning bushes, and most of it's just getting overgrown. I really need to get down there and start clearing out some brush that we don't want, and some bushes and stuff that are overgrown. Vines are growing on everything. We're trying to work this whole side in. We're just plugging hostas in there. So eventually we're trying to go for something more akin to that and work it all the way over so it's, you know, pretty much up against the driveway, and we don't have to worry about doing any mowing or weed whacking or maintenance on that side of the driveway anymore. And it drops off on a hill and we're getting erosion. Everything is sliding that way. So the more roots and stuff we can get in there, the better. See if we can't lock that hill down a little bit. And you can see what I mean about needing to get in there and weed whack and all that kind of stuff. That's where I'll be in a few hours. Not much new going on over here. Still waiting on the tiger lilies. We've already had a look at all of these daylilies. This is our biggest and most spectacular. This one is just huge. Got another set of doubles down here, but these are not the roadside orange. Our money plants have finished doing their flowering thing, and now they're into their, why they get called money plant phase. These are the seeds. And these things spread prolifically too. We've got these everywhere, and we don't really do anything about spreading those seeds around. They just seem to do it on their own. So we'll have lots of money plants next year. See, there's more of it right there. And then these are burning bushes. We have burning bushes, which is a species of euonymus. We have burning bushes coming up everywhere. We have little dogwoods growing all over the place. Bleeding hearts, you name it. We have stuff that just comes up everywhere, like weeds. I guess that's the way nature intended. Seeds go everywhere, and then you get plants coming up everywhere. Just more flowering hosta, nothing really special to look at. This is a little shrubbery my wife was given. And other than what appears to be caterpillar chew marks and chomps all over it, this one's doing good. Reasonably well anyway. We weren't even sure if it was going to come back. See, this is actually a old morning glory vine. We tried to tear this out years ago, and if you don't get every last little bit of the roots, then it just keeps coming back. And so it just keeps coming back. It doesn't get enough sun to actually bloom or do anything. It just is a nasty vine that grows over everything up here. So you can even see some hosta flowers popping up here. Got my zebra grass. This once upon a time used to be sort of a garden area. We've just kind of let it go wild again. It's too much maintenance, too much to do all the time. It's bad enough having to take care of all these gardens. So little stuff like this is kind of what I was talking about before. A little Japanese painted fern down there. Little hosta tucked away under here. Got some more Japanese painted fern right there. This is one of my wife's transplanted hydrangeas. There's another one of the transplanted hydrangeas. And in just a moment we're going to see Squeaker walking right through there. There he comes. He's up here following us around. I hear you. Come on. We ain't got all day. Come on. So just walking along the top side, having a look down on the garden. Of course you can see all the hosta flowers everywhere. This is one of our more established older hydrangeas. Cut it way back last year, so it's kind of small. It was getting really big and bushy. But this is an everlasting summer, so it blooms all year long, or all summer long I should say. And then that big pink flower right here is another phlox. We've got our red bee balm. Of course, loads more hosta. That's another one of my wife's transplanted hydrangeas that is flowering and doing well, so that took. That hydrangea is one that's been there for a little while, and we're actually going to walk around the front of this bed for a minute. I want to have a look at some of these hostas. It's still wet up here. Like my wife ran the sprinkler this morning. I know I ran it last night, but the grass is still wet. I wonder if I went to bed with the sprinkler on and my wife didn't turn it off till this morning when she got up for work. I hope not. I'll find out later, I guess. Pretty sure I turned it off last night before I went to bed. Anyway, really good looking daylilies right there, and these are actually worth kind of working our way up into the garden a little bit to look at these. What are you doing? We're coming over here now. Meow. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to pet you right now. Just wait. I'll be over in a minute. So these, I think, are my favorite this year. These look just fantastic. Almost looks like a sherbet or something. Awesome looking. And then of course we got more of the bee balm. And as I've mentioned before, the bee balm really is a balm. And it smells absolutely amazing. And it's not the flower, it's the plant itself. All you have to do is bruise the foliage and you just get this amazing, calming, soothing smell. So that's gooseneck loosestrife. That is Squeaker. Come on. Come on. So these are the bee balm I wanted to come up here and get a closer look at. And these are almost like a raspberry color. as opposed to the darker red ones over there. Every time I get up here and look at them in person, they seem really similar in color. You can almost not even tell the difference between them and the red, but if you stand down by the house and look up here, these are a distinctly different color. They're very sort of raspberry looking. You coming? Come on. Going over here now. Well, he'll figure it out. Alright, not really much to look at up there. Don't really have time for it. We do have some raspberries growing up there coming in. I've mentioned raspberries in some of my previous videos. Raspberries grow all over Maryland. In fact, I saw somebody out Pretty Boy Reservoir yesterday with a basket walking along the shoreline. The water is down a few feet, and so there's this little sort of strip of sandy shoreline around the edge, and somebody was walking along that with a basket, and they were stopping at all the different raspberry bushes. There's Squeaker claiming his wooden bench over there, or what's left of that wooden bench. At this point, we're just kind of waiting to see how long it takes to finally disappear. Not a lot new going on over here. If you watched my last yard tour, the only thing really different is, once again, all the hostas are in bloom. That's what I was kind of waiting on to do. I'm not going to say this is going to be my final yard tour, but once we get past peak flower, it's just, you know, any additional yard tours after that are just going to be showing everybody how the yard fades away and, you know, goes back to looking kind of bland by the autumn, and by winter you wouldn't even recognize this place anymore. Even I, after 20 years of being here, I forget how lush and green everything turns, you know, come summertime, because it is just bleak and barren during the winter. I have a bunch of neighbors that you don't even see, and then all of a sudden there's their houses because all the leaves fell, and I've got neighbors on 3 sides of me, and nobody wants neighbors. All right. Can't really think of anything specific to point out. Feel like I'm kind of repeating myself here when I keep pointing out that the hostas are now in blooming. I'm guessing you've got that by now. You understand that the hostas are in bloom. And other than that, it's just a matter of having a look around. You were determined to get stepped on today, aren't you? All right, here's your petting. All right, he always has to get his little bit of video time in. You gonna say hi to everybody now that you got the camera? You gonna say hi? I call you Squeaker for a reason, you know. Meow. Meow. You're not gonna talk, are you? He's a cat. He's contrary. They all are. All right, I gotta keep my tour going. Come on. All right, new oak leaf hydrangea. We're really excited about this one. We've never had an oak leaf hydrangea before. I've got some deer damage on it early in the year, so I've been spraying this. Well, I've been spraying the whole yard. I spray deer repellent for a living, if you didn't know. And so now I'm my own client, apparently. And I have to charge myself a fortune to spray all this stuff. It is a lot to cover. So there's a good example of some pretty significant deer damage. Once you're down on that hosta, it's gone. It'll bounce back. So this is the part I really like. And this is all of our little micro hostas. Look at them all. Little tiny things. They even get little tiny micro flowers on them, although that one's not blooming yet. These have already finished, and either the deer came and nipped all these little flower heads off, or my wife came out here and deadheaded them. I know she was out here working the other day, so I'm going to go with deadheading for now, because why else would the deer have left all of these on here and then nipped all those off? And they were finished, so I don't imagine the deer would have wanted to eat flowers that were already done. It's not really what they do. So I just love these little tiny hostas. I mean, these are full-grown hostas. They don't get any bigger than this. They're tiny, tiny little things. Hence They're called micro hostas. And we've got bunches of them. And they grow and spread just as prolifically as regular hostas. I'm telling you, if you don't deadhead your hostas and you let them go to seed, you will have more hosta than you know what to do with. I mow over the stuff. I have so much hosta. And it's just because we don't deadhead. And, you know, each hosta has thousands of seeds. And since we've probably got hundreds and hundreds of hostas, that's a lot of seeds. That's probably my favorite hosta. Whee is the name of it. And we've got a toad lily right here that I don't think is going to do anything this year because that got munched on by the deer early in the spring too when it was first coming in. So I don't think we're going to get any toad lily, or no flowers anyway. And around here we've got some more little micro hostas. This whole patch here is all micro hostas that are all spread out. That's a little micro hosta. This is a little micro hosta back here. That's Squeaker coming to get us. That's our little turtle planter that's all forlorn because it doesn't have a planter on it this year. And that's about all I can think of to look at over here. Oh, there's Bootsy, you see him? He's eyeing Squeaker up. I'll just say that they don't exactly get along. You can see Squeaker spotted him. Look at him looking at him. Look at that tail going too. Knock it off, cat. Knock it off. He's not even flinching. Alright, let's go over here and break it up. Come on, Bootsy. Come on. Come on. You're gonna get attacked. You see him over there waiting. Oh, we got out of there just in time. The dogs are about to start barking. You want to get some scratching too? Just in the nick of time. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me on my leisurely Sunday morning stroll around the yard. It's time to go inside, get the fish tanks all lit up, see what's going on down in the basement today, and we're going to find out what kind of video we're going to be shooting today. So make sure you're subscribed, you won't miss that or anything else. And we might still get to see some fur flying before this video is over yet. So, all right, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.